Let's catch up on a few stories that could be on your radar. It is time for Rapid Fire. Here with their take, Leslie Picker, Dominic Chu, and Contessa Brewer. It sounds like introducing game show contestants.
It is. It's like Jeopardy. It's like Price is Right.
She's a 27-year-old anesthetologist from Phoenix.
Wait, is that me? That's me. That's me. Botox is holding up well.
Yeah, you bet. So Leslie, let's start with you. Talk about Pinterest. They're coming out with, they're going to price later today, right?
Pricing later today.
And there was a range $15 to $17. Is that where it is, or is it going to go higher?
Total demand is very strong for this deal, Tyler, and they're already talking about pricing this thing above the range, 18, 19, potentially as high as 20, although it's very rare that you see a price that comes $3 above the range. But it's clear that people like where this thing is going. Yeah.
And there's a dearth of stock out there, so people are hot for it.
Yep.
This is good, obviously, for the bankers, right?
Definitely.
This is good for the owners, the company, because they raise more capital. But the worry, as always, is what happens after it goes public, and does it do a lift?
Exactly. That's the key question here. And a recent University of Florida study looked at, how the first day of trading really impacts the stock over the long run. And by and large, on average, it really doesn't have much in the way of a predictive tendency. If it goes up on the first day of trading, 6 months out, could go up, could go down.
It could be higher or lower.
No clear correlation there. But if you have one of those anomalies where it drastically goes up or drastically goes down, usually in the next 6 months, it's trading lower than where it was on that IPO.
Yeah, the history says they end up lower,
I mean,
right?
they do, but here's the thing. What's curious is the paradigm shift around whether or not investors still appreciate the dual-class share structure for stocks. With Lyft, it was an issue. With Uber, it was an issue up until about a year ago, and now they're taking steps to kind of equalize the field for all shareholders involved. The reason why it's important is because if you invest in these IPOs but don't get equal voting rights, first of all, these stocks with dual-class share structures, the new ones will never get in the S&P because they've changed the structure for which they include assets in there. So investors apparently still demand it, but how long will they do it? We saw with Lyft, it kind of just fizzled.
And what's interesting with Pinterest is they actually have a sunset provision embedded in their S1, which says 7 years from now, they're going to actually dismantle their dual-class share structure and become a single-class stock. So maybe in 7 years, we can see them added into one of these indexes.
Maybe one of these indexes, yeah.
If they still have those rules.
Let's go from new tech to old tech. IBM falling after it reported its third consecutive quarter of revenue declines. The stock is up this year, but it's down 26% over the past 5 years. Contessa, is it back to the bad old days here for IBM?
Remember when they had that streak of 22 consecutive quarters of annualized revenue declines? That ended in 2017. But look, they had some tough comps. When you look at their revenue from Z Hardware, which was down 38%, they had tough comps because they had all of these companies upgrading to new mainframe technologies last year. That's a tough business to get over. They have changed the way that they've reported, but it looks like they're still struggling with their cloud, which is the wave of the future for these tech companies.
Yeah, they had that streak of 20-some quarters in a row where they had negative revenue growth. Now, and then they stopped that.
They snapped it.
They snapped it, but now they're back. I think this is the third in a row where they've had negative growth.
So this is very much about Ginny Rometty. This is her vision. There is no excuse right now for IBM. This is very much Ginny Rometty's company. She has put a lot of eggs in these baskets with regard to their new initiatives, their growth initiatives. Cloud is part of that story. Artificial intelligence, supercomputing, all part of that narrative that IBM wants to put in there. And they are using it to drive that next level of usage or utility for humankind, you can say. But there still hasn't been a premium that the street is willing to put on some of those initiatives until they can really start to show some kind of revenue growth and then profitability on top of that.
And they have stiff competition from existing cloud services. I mean,
and that's just in the cloud.
Right.
Forget about supercomputing.
Let's move on to another big tech company, and that would be Microsoft, which has announced plans to launch a cheaper version of its Xbox One S. That's the first gaming it'll be the first gaming console that will not have a disk drive. The games will be accessed, downloaded, and backed up online. Is this the end of the disk? And what does this mean for companies that have sold those disk-based games like GameStop?
I mean, it's a long time coming, right? If you just look at the way that media industry has gone, when's the last time anybody put a CD in their CD changer in their car or anything else? I mean, everything is downloaded, everything's cloud-based. So this was the eventual evolution of what video gaming was supposed to be like. But this idea now is going to have a ripple effect across other parts of the market. GameStop is going to be one of those ultimate, perhaps, victims of this kind of a situation because they're the ones who resell used games. They got a robust business doing that. But that whole shift is maybe taking that away. GameStop, remember, used to be a mix of AT&T retail wireless stores. They got rid of that business, so it's just pure games at this point.
Yeah.
And that stock has lost half its value since its highs back in the summer.
And look, it'll be interesting to hear what Microsoft has to say about Project X Cloud, which is supposed to be its game streaming service to offer. It says it will be a state-of-the-art global game streaming technology in the cloud. It sounds like they're getting a start on that by doing away with the disc player. My question is, if you're a gamer who's bought these games, are you going to go buy an Xbox that no longer has
a disc that you can use so you can't use your old games?
Right.
You just have to have a legacy
Player.
components. Yeah, player.
You got to have the
So,
components. All right, you guys like chocolate? Any of you?
No.
I'm guessing none of you do. Godiva is spreading now beyond the candy aisle and going into the cafe business. And Courtney Reagan is at one of the new cafes and joins us now for a rare drop-in for Rapid Fire. Hi, Court.
Hey, everybody. So here we are. We're at this Godiva Cafe. This is actually going to be one of 2,000 around the world. This one officially opens tomorrow. So we got a bit of a sneak peek. Of course, they're selling chocolate, but they're also selling these new things called quaffles. This is a cross between a croissant and a waffle. You can get it with cheese on the inside. This one has chocolate on the inside. It's all part of the CEO's plan to expand, like you mentioned, beyond that premium chocolate gifting aisle. They actually think that over the course of 5 years, cafes could represent 40% of Godiva's revenue. And they already exist in 105 countries, 800 retail locations. So this is really a whole new silo of the business.
The cafes exist in more than 100 countries now?
No,
the retail.
where Godiva currently sells
I
in the
see.
retail locations. So there's 105 countries and 800 retail locations. So now they want to build out these cafes, 2,000 of them around the world over the next 6 years.
I don't know. Are we over cafes?
That's the question.
Yeah.
Have we got too many destinations for drinks?
I don't know. I go to my local mall. My local mall has one of these Godiva retail outlets, and they serve great ice cream. So every time I stop there, my daughter kind of wants to get a little bit of ice cream. And so these things, they have a brand name, and they got a way to capitalize on it.
They have a brand name, but Godiva is such a premium brand name. I remember growing up, and during Christmas time, my dad would get these massive boxes of Godiva. It felt so special.
The gold boxes.
And oftentimes, if you expand so quickly, you risk diluting the premium aspect of your brand.
Yeah. Well, Court, thank you very much.
That's an interesting point, Leslie. And they do hope to also continue to sell those gifting items. So they hope this creates a halo effect, sort of bring it more to the forefront of your mind.
Bring some home, will you, Court?
Yeah.
Caffeine and sugar.
I will do that.
The two staples.
The quaffle, that's what I want.
That's what that sounds good. All right. Topic 5, Ken Jennings, watch your back. James Holzhauer, a professional sports gambler, has brought his total winnings on Jeopardy to over $500,000. Holzhauer already holds the record for single-game winnings at Jeopardy, now going for the record for highest winnings in Jeopardy's regular season play. Jennings holds that with over $2.5 million. This guy
It's exciting, I gotta tell you.
makes big gambles.
I get butterflies every time a daily double comes up. I'm like, he's gonna go all in.
He's the
Tiger
Woods of game shows.
But I mean, but for whatever reason, when you put like that kind of money on, I was like, oh my gosh, how could you risk like $30,000?
You just did what he did too. You notice how he does that? He's like all in.
Like,
you can tell he's a
my goodness
professional gambler.
gracious.
Here's all my chips.
Did you see the answer that he got to get to this position?
It had something to do with Crimea and a time change in Crimea or
The
something?
question was, what was the place that moved its clock 2 hours ahead in 2014 to align its time with Moscow? The answer was Crimea.
He won a lot of money.
I mean, that is
You have to
incredible.
think that Jeopardy's insurers are biting their lips right now about how much, because he's on pace right now to make something like $16 million a year if he keeps going. And the second thing is, what does this tell the casinos in Las Vegas? This guy's a professional gambler. He's a professional sports gambler. What does it tell them about his ability to retain knowledge and statistics and to forecast that out?
But that's one thing. Trivia, though, requires knowledge. And that's the thing that casinos can bank on, because at least those are games of chance purely, without having to say, hey, you have to bet on whether or not I know something or not as the wager. And
games of probability. I used to play along with Jeopardy a lot, but I found Jeopardy's gotten too hard for me. It's gotten a lot harder.
Hard.
It's gotten a lot. Double Jeopardy.
unless you're
not
IBM
gotten
mouse.
that answer.
Yeah.
No way.
All right,
Sorry.
guys.
Goodbye, 30
Thank
grand.
you. Contessa, Dom, and Leslie. Thank you.